Hey, this is a Curious Miniature Adventure, a podcast about learning and growth in the art of miniature painting. We don't do shallow takes, we don't wade, we dive. My name is Devin Bush, aka Brush Adept on Instagram, and I've been painting for many years. I teach and I have won awards at places like the Las Vegas Open, Adepticon, and even Nova. My co-host here is Dan Dougal, painting instructor and the insensitive bulldog in the room, who's also won awards at places like ReaperCon, Adepticon, Nova, and even Monte San Savino. What are we diving into today, Dan?
Oh, we got a good one today, Devin. We are diving into motivation, or the lack thereof, right? It's a problem that a lot of us have struggled with, or probably most, if not all of us, have struggled with at some point in our journeys. And we're going to dig in and take a look at some tools, some techniques, some things to maybe help people get motivated and stay motivated while they are on this curious little adventure. But before we dig in, I wanted to ask you, based on our conversation from last month, Devin, how's your relationship with your painting?
It's been doing fantastic. We were just chatting a little bit right before.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. I'm loving painting again.
Good. Good.
And it's been so happy. And I think I owe it all to our conversations and just honestly just trying something new, being curious.
Good. So what you working on?
Oh, I am kind of balancing between a new diorama that I'm wanting to do. It's a super secret special diorama that I can't actually be public with because it's part of like a community event and we're all supposed to surprise each other. But that's going to be a diorama. So
Nice.
Leaning in from my shadow box diorama that I completed, I learned a lot. I'm going to kind of bring it on to the next thing. But honestly, I'm working on this tiny little bust. I wish I remember the name of it, but it's from Asa Sculpts. It's like the tiny little bust where she's just like in a puffer jacket. She's got like a cybernetic neck and she's like looking off all happy and just really low stress. Just have some fun with it.
Perfect.
What about you? What about you? What are you working on?
Well, I finished my commission that I was working on previously, and I'm currently working on it's the Sharpest Rose from Hugo. I'm going to butcher this name. Hugo Briones.
It's like Briones, Barones. Yeah.
That's the one. That's
Yeah.
the one. We'll put a link. It's actually a free STL download. So if somebody else wants a hack at it, we'll make it available for you here.
Absolutely.
But
it's beautiful.
So it's a beautiful little bust, and I am taking rather than a traditional elf, I am going with a drow version. And
Oh,
so
no kidding.
I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Very cool.
When I can sit down and actually get myself to paint, because honestly, painting has been a little rough for me lately.
Oh, yeah.
So I think part of it is, and we can get into this a little bit more in the episode, but I think part of it for me is my mind and my head is elsewhere. So
yeah.
I'm very distracted right now. So I sit down to paint, and then like I get the thoughts of my new studio that I've been working on since Adepticon. So
Yeah. 1,000 things in your mind just kind of fluttering all the way, right?
It is. Did I remember to get the right shelving bracket? Like all the stuff. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But we can. But that's the other thing I've really been working on a lot is I'm building a new studio in my basement.
So cool. I've seen some work in progress photos and ooh-wee. That's the goal, man. That's the goal. That's the dream.
It's kind of like my dream desk. It's now, and I grossly underestimated how much time it would take to finish the desktop for this thing. It's a large desk, which granted, but I like each coat took a day to dry, and I'm like, I got 3 big pieces, and that's 6, and so each one took multiple coats and multiple days to dry for each one, and I'm like 2 weeks later, and I'm like, I'm still staining. I'm still damn it.
And the thing is that's the part where there's nothing you can do but wait, because the moment you rush it, you mess things up.
Oh, I did mess it up, and then I had to wait.
Oh, no kidding.
I had to sand a bunch of it off and do it again. So
That's
So yeah.
that's the most frustrating part of any like creative endeavor that you're doing or any type of build that you're doing is you rush that one spot and you know you shouldn't rush it, but it'll be okay this time, and then you rush it and then you go, oh no.
Well, I don't have a whole lot of experience with finishing wood, and so what happened was I put on like 3 thin coats.
Okay.
Right? And it's like a mix. It's mostly Danish oil with a couple other things in there to help it kind of soak in a little bit better. So I put on 3 thin coats, and I flipped it over, and I did the other 3, 3 on the backside. And I flipped it over, and I noticed like there were spots where the wood just looked like it was turning gray. It was like
Gray.
Yeah, it was turning gray. I'm like, what is this? And so I my neighbor has got a little bit more experience with some of this stuff, so he was like, yeah. So what it looks like to me is the wood did not soak up enough of the finish. So those are the parts that are like they're still thirsty. You need another coat.
Right. Okay. Right. So like the hydration of the wood wasn't quite uniform. Everything was at the same dryness and stuff. Right. Oh, okay. Okay. Exactly. I didn't know that it would change colors like that.
It did. I didn't know either, but it did.
Well, now you do.
I'm like, okay, well, let's give it enough to drink, and I put on a nice thick layer, and I did not get it wiped back off before it started drying, and so I just let it sit for a couple of days.
Sure.
And I came back out, and it was all tacky. I'm like, oh shit.
Oh no.
So I let it sit for several more days, and it was still tacky. And so I pulled out the random orbital sander and sanded it all off. Now I didn't have to take it all the way back down to bare wood, but
you had to get that little layer.
I had to get that layer off, and then I put another layer, another thin layer down on top, and so it's fine now. I fixed it. Took an extra 2 or 3 days, or I don't know, whatever. But anyway, So my mind is been entirely consumed with building this new studio. And
yeah, so, I can only imagine. But hey, it's gonna be awesome once you're finished with it. And plus, hey, you're gonna learn a new skill. And when someone else wants some tips and tricks, you'll be the guy. You'll be the guy they go to.
Right. Yeah. So, but that's what I've been working on. So I've been working on this little bust. It's coming along. It's just coming along slowly, and then I'm working on a new studio. So
that's awesome, man. I love that. I love that. I am one of those types of people that really likes to like restructure, reorganize fairly regularly. So it seems like after every single event that I do, I'm always cleaning the desk. Okay, how can I make this more efficient and effective and stuff? And so I love that kind of stuff. I think it's very motivating into pushing myself into like the next project and kind of refreshing for the new thing, right?
Right. Well, hopefully I will if everything goes according to plan, which I should be able to start moving in on Tuesday. And
no kidding.
Yeah, so hopefully, even if I get moved in on Tuesday, I'm sure it's going to still take several weeks to just kind of like reorient and like because it's a different space. I'm going to have to like figure out where the best places for things are, and
totally
it'll take me a while to settle in. But hopefully, I can start moving some stuff in. In fact, this cabinet right here, the bottom 3 shelves, are already empty. I've already pulled stuff off the bottom.
Oh man, that's so exciting. That's so exciting.
It is exciting.
We'll have to when you kind of get like partly moved in, take some photos, and then midway through your move in, take some more photos, and then have the full dream setup all photographed and stuff.
I've been taking photos along the way, so
that's
hopefully
awesome.
I can do something cool.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm happy to hear that. Sorry that
thanks.
Painting's been kind of taking a bit of a backseat, but like, hey,
it's all right.
It happens, right? Like kind of like what we talked about last time is like there's this ebb and flow. I mean, very well about repairing your relationship with painting, and I'm starting to learn a little bit more about it, and I'm having a lot more fun with it. I really realize it's that ebb and flow. But for right now, we're going to talk about that motivation. And one thing
when you say motivation, Devin, what do you mean?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that when we talked about motivation, we want to kind of set a baseline. Like I loved your terminology with, you said, hey, let's set a baseline. What are we talking about, right? And so I'm going to read this this definition for motivation. So the definition for motivation is the energizing of behavior in pursuit of a goal. It is a fundamental element of our interaction with the world and with each other. That was one part I actually really, really like about that, because it's not just about the goal thing. It's also a community thing, which is what we're all about, right?
Yeah.
All animals share motivation to obtain their basic needs, including food, water, sex, and social interaction. Meeting these needs is a requirement for survival, but in all cases, the goals must be met in appropriate quantities and at appropriate times, right? We're going to get into that a little bit.
Right.
Therefore, motivational drive must be modulated as a function of both internal states as well as external environmental conditions. It's a bit of a mouthful. It
is. And I believe that was taken from the behavioral neuroscience of motivation.
We'll put the link in below so that you can get the direct article for it.
Yeah, there's the whole article. So, Yep. So motivation can really kind of come from a variety of sources, right? And so as we now, having set that stage, I want to take a moment and talk about what motivation is not, right? There are some things that feel like a lack of motivation, but I think they are not a lack of motivation. You're motivated. They are other things competing, right? So, for example, right, you have demands from life, work, school, family, other community, et cetera, right? All of these other things, right, compete for our time, compete for our attention, compete for, our hobby time. And so even though we might want to sit down and paint, we can't because of whatever other, right? And so even if I've talked to people who like, well, I sit down to paint and then I feel guilty that I'm not spending time with, my kids, or I'm not spending time with, and that's totally normal, I think. And there may be some ways to kind of reserve a bit of time now and then, right? And that requires, I think, talking with your family or talking with the people who you're sharing your time with, to be able to schedule some of that time out, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, one of the things about that definition that I like to is the quantity and appropriate times.
Yeah,
I think that is a very big, a big tell as to like what you're saying. What is motivation, but what is not motivation? And like, like you said, I'm super enthusiastic about doing this thing, but why can't I seem to do it? And for me in the beginning of this podcast, I needed to repair the relationship with my painting, right?
Right.
I had a lot of I had a block basically of some sort, and sometimes it's a mental block, sometimes it's a physical block, a social block, a family, a personal life, right?
Sure. And there's a lot of those kinds of things. Another one, and I think Roman Lappat had a video on this here a while back that I'm pretty sure it was him, but he talked about motivation and that it's not so much a lack of motivation; it is a lack of energy.
Yeah, that's a huge thing.
We all have very busy lives, and we all are like running 1,000 miles an hour sometimes, and we sit down, we get up early, we take care of the family, we go to work, we work, however many hours we're there, like probably more than 8, right? We get home and we get dinner on the table, we, all the things, get the lawn mowed, get whatever, and we sit down to paint. We finally have time to paint. We sit down and we're just exhausted.
Yeah.
Right?
It's very real.
That's not a motivation problem. That's an energy problem. And if you don't have the energy, right, it can make painting very, very difficult, right? So, for sure. So it might help to just be aware of how much energy you've got when you sit down to paint, right? Is there a way to restructure your day a little bit to where you can get some of that painting time a little earlier in the day? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But everyone's going to be a little different. Everyone's going to be, I hate to prescribe this for other people because a few years ago I would have told you to fuck right off.
Yeah,
But
I know exactly what you're going to say.
I'm up at 4:00 in the morning, and I usually come in and paint for about an hour, hour and a half or so before I go to work, and I gotta clock in at 6, right? So, for me, I have found that time is kind of sacred, right? Other people are going to have to find the time or reserve the time in their day to go and do that, right? But but if you don't have the energy, you sit down at the end of the day and you're just exhausted. Like, it's really tough to paint on no fumes.
Oh,
Right?
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I want to touch real quick. I love that you use the word reserve, right? You're like, when you're going out on a big anniversary or a family get together, or you want to go to a nice restaurant, or you got a party of 15, you got to make reservations, right?
Right.
That you're setting aside a specific place, a specific time with the intention. And I think that is a real big thing. So I think reservation, right? You're reserving that time. Like you said, it's sacred to me.
Right.
And also, like, it's that nothing else is going to be getting in the way. Whereas doing it at the very end of the day, you're on the fumes. You have little energy. You've got other things that are demanding your time, and more excuses. That's not the right word, but like, there are more things that can, interfere with that.
Sure. Yep. There might be emotional issues, right? Like, if you're emotionally, like, if there's some, for lack of a better word, if there's some drama going on in your life, right? Sometimes you need to tend to that before you can, clear the mind for space to paint, or
For sure.
for whatever your hobbies are. Which kind of brings me to, like, in all of these things, like demands of life, energy, emotional attachment, or emotional, I don't even know what the word is. Emotional issues that you're dealing with, whatever. A lot of these are just add more and more to your cognitive load.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And your cognitive load, like, if you fill, it's like working memory, right? If you fill up your computer's RAM with all the applications being open, it's going to run very slowly trying to get that one thing to render in, Photoshop or whatever, right?
For
so
sure.
if to the extent that you can remove some of those things or reduce some of those things, right, that frees up more memory for you to spend on more important things, right? So I think to the extent that you can remove or resolve those other issues, it frees up your mental capacity and allows you to, kind of focus a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. You're being proactive and intentional with making sure that you are closing out each of those windows that maybe you don't need open at this particular juncture, right?
Right.
Time and a place for thing, where the appropriate time and place is. No, I love that. And I think giving people the terminology to, like, address it, I think is really, really key. And reading through this right here, I was kind of having an emotional, load, if you will, which is why my relationship with painting was kind of suffering, because I was stressing about, things that were happening with work or things that were happening with family. But then I was also like trying to do this more extrinsic motivation and trying to do the thing and do the thing really, really well. And, all these different things. And it was just, I don't know. It was just kind of like I wasn't releasing, if you will. I wasn't having that, emotional release. And so then after Adepticon and our talks and stuff, and realizing, like, I got to get this out. Oh, it's been so much smoother, right?
Right. Yeah.
But not even knowing where to even approach it or what to call it, I think that's honestly like a third of the battle or half the battle, right?
Yeah, sometimes just being able to name something, to put your finger on, okay, it's this, right?
Yep.
And I think that cognitive load thing has kind of been my issue with painting more recently, just because my head has been on the studio and get the studio built, and do I have all my ducks in a row there, and I got to wait for this and that, right? And so that's been sort of occupying a lot of my brain space, right? I got a lot of that filling up the brain jar, and it's not leaving a lot of space for me to just sit down and enjoy painting. And even after I sit down for a while, I'm like, my mind starts gravitating toward, this other project. And I tend to like single focus on projects anyway. Like a lot of like I tend to only have one miniature project going at once, and I get that one done, and then I move on to the next one. So
you are a rare breed, my friend.
I know. Right? It's not to say that I'm never working on more than one, but I'm usually it's very limited for me. Try to
it's a balancing, right?
It's one piece at a time, get it done, and then I can move on to the next one.
That's phenomenal. And hey, you know that about yourself, and so you now have that information to kind of point you in those right directions to steer yourself in that way, right? I'm not the ADD type of like, I mean, although you wouldn't notice, but by looking at the state of my desk, of I need to have 1,000 different things and stuff like that. I've actually started compartmentalizing it a little bit more, where I've got like something that's conceptualized. All right, that's a different way of thinking for my brain. So I've got to pull out my notebook, right? I've got something that's in the works that's being painted, but it's just still in the loose stage, right? Yeah. And then I've got something that maybe I need to build or something like that, or clean or whatever, right? That's a different level in my brain. And then there's something that I need to cross the finish line, right? And so I can kind of like shift gears here and there, but I try to keep it at no more than like 3. Right. Sometimes 4. It can depend and stuff like that. But yeah, it's it can be a struggle. It can be a struggle. One of the things that we wanted to do a little bit of research for this, right? And actually, it's funny because when we were kind of doing our sit rep for this, a few weeks ago to get this going, I said I'll just start asking the community, right? Asking some questions, right? Being curious, right? Yeah. And you said, "Oh, I did not expect that you would get so many good responses in such a short period of time." So, shout out to the mini painting community. It was
like a day later, and you start filling up our Discord. And I'm like, "Oh my god!" Which is awesome, right? It's awesome.
Yeah. So I basically asked other community members, like friends and community members, peers. People that are, my peers, people that are my mentors, and people that are even my students, right? Just let me run the gamut, right? And I got some really interesting responses. Yeah. So a couple of different things that I noticed, right? So I asked a few different people. Basically, I asked the community a question about, like, what do you think about motivation in regards to mini painting? What do you do or do not do in order to maintain your motivation, or is there something different that I'm not, I'm not thinking about, right? So kind of the commonality was all of them say, like what we were just talking about, it's not a lack of motivation. It's really a lack of resources. It's a lack of our attention. It's a lack of our energy and such. Yeah. So one person had basically said in this, in one of his things, he said that motivation isn't his problem, but it's a matter of time and priorities. And he even said, like, I have to be realistic with my time. So I've learned and gotten better at dropping a project when I know that I can't do it, right? Rather than submitting 2 projects at 50%, drop one of them, submit it at 100%, right? Yeah. And come back to it. And he said, and this was a big commonality throughout, is that these competition are great deadlines, because it helps me learn and it helps me practice about these, these tendencies to, well, I want to do all the things, but we got to be realistic here, right? Right. And I thought that was really interesting, and that's something that I too have been trying to get better at, and being realistic. Where I want to do a bunch of things, but I only have so much time, right?
Right. Yeah. If you take 15 minutes too long, they're not going to let you enter, right?
Right.
That's a hard stop. You got to be
exactly. Done. And so, you can kind of extrapolate and work backwards and reverse engineer. You go, okay, I've got 3 projects. I've got 5 months. I don't think I can realistically do that. All right, let's make it 2. Right? What can you actually, achieve and put something out? Another one of my friends said, had a very, very different take. It was very interesting because he is a commission painter, right? And that is another animal entirely. You can speak to that as well, right?
That's a different level of pressure, right? Yeah.
It's a different level of pressure because not only are you trying to make sure that you're maximizing your pay rate and scale, it's also not yours, and you've got to have a turnaround time. So one of the things that he mentioned, he's very, very humble about this. He said, and I want to read this word for word. He says, I remind myself that I'm in a privileged position of doing something that I love for a living. I have my health, my hands, my eyes. I'm in good shape, and I'm going to make the best out of it while I can. Memento mori. I was like, oh, an amazing perspective, right?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of these different commonalities here.
There's a lot of gratitude in that statement too, right?
There is. Very, very, very wise. And I mean, he's been doing commission painting for so long. So it was just like, wow, that didn't really even occur to me, right? Since I only do occasional commissions, right? It's very, very different. Yeah. And, I want people to hear a bunch of different voices to see what calls to you, right? We talk a lot about picking the project that calls to you. Don't just pick it because you should paint it. Remember, there's that operative word, I should be.
Right.
No, if it doesn't speak to you, it doesn't speak to you, right?
Yeah.
I love painting tanks and robots and weathering and grime and rust and all that. But I understand that's not everybody's thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, painting tanks is about the last thing I want to do.
Right. And to me, you give me flat panels and I'm like, yeah.
What kind of weathering can I put on this, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's how I tell my
Your
stories.
stuff looks great. Like I look at it and I'm like, this looks amazing. I have no desire to do this.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. So different strokes, right? There was one other thing that somebody else had mentioned, again, that I just didn't consider, and it was all about social media posting and validation, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about that extrinsic, intrinsic motivation,
right?
And treating the social media cancer in some instances, right, as a motivation as to what is possible, not I can't do that. It's that, that's what can be done. I'm going to work towards that, right? Yeah. And sometimes that can be a bit of a toss-up, right? Sometimes that can be something where you just sit there and you compare and you self-deprecate about how, well, I could never be as good as X. It's like, well, he is top 10 in the entire freaking world, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to get to that level? Well, then use it as inspiration, right?
Right.
I thought that was...
Use it as fuel.
Yeah, right. Use it as fuel. And I think it's shifting your brain, shifting your mentality, and I think kind of dovetailing into that level of gratitude that the previous comment was saying, of realizing what an absolute gift this can be for you. Not even just commission, but just painting in general, right? Yeah. And it shifts and it tweaks your mentality just a little bit. And I think that is infinitely more healthy for people to think of. And then I wanted to, last but not least, because I'm so proud of him. He's one of my students, where I worked with him for Nova, and he just absolutely crushed it. He had an almost identical story to you, Dan, with Monte Sansevino. He entered a competition. He'd never done it before, walked away with nothing in the apprentice level. And he was really kind of gutted, right?
Yeah.
And so he took months off. He looked through some of these things, and he used social media as a way to kind of draw inspiration and kind of rediscover that passion and that love, and decided, all right, let's start going, right? The first step, let's just move. And he said he decided that he wanted to improve himself as an artist, not as a painter. And I thought that was really, really interesting and cool, because we think, well, they're the same thing. It's like, well, no, right?
Yes,
An artist, they're not the same thing. An artist is going to have, well, we were just talking about woodworking. I would call woodworkers artists. Like, you see some of the things people can do, they're incredible.
Right.
And there's a lot of, he decided to improve his knowledge. He started to improve, like, his eye is what, like he and I talked a lot about, of realizing and looking at what mistakes he might be making, or he knows that terminology of like volumes or values, but now it's starting to click, right? And he channeled all of those things into proving himself as a person, as an artist, into the painting, and then he crushed it about 6 months later while he won gold in Journeyman. Went from nothing to gold. It was like it was amazing. It was awesome. Amazing, right?
That is awesome.
Right.
What a great story.
Such a cool story. But each one of those people, that talked about, and I've got a few other ones that, have a lot of similarities, and it's utilizing things appropriately. Right. Kind of what goes back to the beginning of the definition, right? In a specific amount, and recognizing what something like social media can do for you or against you, right? Recognizing what that shift in your mentality will do.
It's
for
energizing his behavior in pursuit of a goal, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that we wanted to kind of share a little bit about.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
The people,
Yeah. Yep. Excellent. So you mentioned a little bit ago about intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you expand on that just a little bit more?
Ooh, I'm not an expert on this by any means, right? So take.
Well,
this
neither am I, but that's what makes us podcast hosts, right?
Right. Exactly.
We're just yakking about stuff, right?
Yeah. So the way that I understand it is kind of like endothermic and exothermic reactions, right? Within science, it's coming from within, coming
You've
from
just lost
without.
half the audience. I don't know. No, but you're right. You're right.
Yeah. So like intrinsic, I think of internal. Extrinsic, external, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Right. And so I'm thinking about it from that particular perspective. And so if we want to dive into extrinsic, I think that's the easiest one. That's the award. That's the social media validation. That's the gold. That's the compliments. That's all of these
paycheck
different,
at the end of a commission.
The paycheck at the end of the commission,
Right.
right? And all of these things are valid, right?
It's the likes, it's the clicks, it's the
yes,
right. It's all those things come from outside and like provide pressure. For example, your average college student is extrinsically motivated to get their homework done because they're trying to get a grade, right?
Yep. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but I think of it kind of like when you've got like isopropyl alcohol as a fuel, burns up like that.
Yep.
Does it give you fire? Absolutely, it does.
Yep.
Right, but it is not a great fuel source long term. Yeah. It's very, very quick and short lived.
It flashes off fast.
Whereas intrinsic is a lot more internal, and that I think it's a little bit less common, right? I hesitate to say rare because I don't think it's rare, but I just think it's not quite as common because it requires deep thought. It requires a lot of whys. Why are we doing this, right? You were amazing in sharing that story from Monte San Savino, and you started asking yourself, well, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's because I loved it. I love it.
Right. Well, and intrinsic is more like that wellspring that kind of bubbles up from inside of you, right? It's the counterbalance to the isopropyl alcohol flash fire, right? Is the campfire that's been burning all night, and you get up in the morning and there's still hot coals there, and you can throw a few logs on, and
it kicks right back up.
It kicks right back up.
Yep.
Right? It's the hot coals under the ash that you can't see even necessarily, but you know they're there. You can feel the heat. You can and it starts a fire as soon as you put more fuel on it.
It's kind of the unsung hero of motivation, right? Because you don't see it. It sometimes isn't the most flashy or
Right.
like, because when you see a fireball, like, ooh, that's cool, but
Right.
that's very short lived, right?
Yeah.
And so those are the two quick little, maybe 10,000 foot view of the styles of motivation. But I want to kind of stress that neither one of them is wrong, right?
Sure.
And neither one of them is necessarily the correct one, but I think there's a proportionality to it, right?
Yeah.
And were I to give somebody some advice, if I were to give our listeners some advice on this, right? I think the proportion for me that works really well is 75% intrinsic, 25 extrinsic. Because if you lose that 25% entirely, meaning nobody clicks like, nobody likes your stuff, nobody gives you an award, and everyone says, ugh, you still have that 75% to lean on.
Yeah.
Does it mean that it doesn't hurt? No, of course it hurts.
Right. Sure.
But you still have a good foundation. Whereas if it's the other way around, you can just get shattered so easily.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and if you take it to its extremes, if you only have extrinsic motivation, right, you're only going to paint in the service of others, right? You're only doing it for social media. You're only doing it for a client. You're only doing it for validation. You're only doing it for other people, right? And you're going to burn yourself out doing that, right?
For sure.
The flip side, if you are only doing it for yourself, you can maintain that forever.
Yeah.
Right? You don't.
Yeah.
You can do intrinsic without any extrinsic at all, right? But it's really tough to do extrinsic without any intrinsic, right?
Sure. Sure.
I'm extrinsically motivated to get up and go to work every damn day, and I would quit tomorrow if I could.
Right. I mean, and to diverge a little bit from painting, you go into that life, right? Like what you just said with work, right?
Yeah.
Do I like what I do? Sure. Right?
Yeah.
Do I have good days? Sure. If I could pull the plug on it entirely and just follow my right? Like no questions asked, right?
Yeah.
Right. I find myself very, very fortunate that for my profession I am motivated because of all the extrinsic things, but like I also really like these people. It's a great organization.
Yeah, sure.
I really like it, and I do have a bit of an intrinsic motivation, right?
Right.
So I think that's so common. I think that's so common with people that.
Yep.
You're doing the thing, and I hesitate to say the wrong reasons, but like they're reasons, right? Doesn't have to be big news headlines of why your reasoning is I need the paycheck,
right?
And that's okay. We're all in that kind of mode from time to time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I did a little bit of research as well, and
I like how you minimize it with a little bit.
This
is dense, Dan. This is dense.
All right, so Devin, hot take.
Yeah.
We're not all wired the same. We're not all wired up the same way.
All right.
And so for some of us, motivation looks and feels and behaves a little differently than some others of us, right?
Okay.
And so I came across this framework, this is a way to think about motivation, right? It is not the only way. It is not the the golden way. This is a way to think about it. Okay. And so, coincidentally, this comes from kind of Eastern, comes from out of like some beliefs and thoughts and philosophies and such from India. And I'm not going to try to pronounce a lot of those words because I can't. But basically, it breaks down into like earth, wind, and fire. Right? So different people have different sort of motivational styles, if you will, and we'll take these one at a time, right? Mm-hmm. So the one that the United States is kind of enamored with, the one that gets all the glory, the one that gets all the attention, is the fire, right? It's the one that burns consistently in predictable directions, mm-hmm. right? It's the person who's driven, right? It's the one that you hear about, like all of the hustle culture bros, right? All these people are like, oh, you got to get up at 4 a.m. You got to go until you drop at midnight, and you get up at tomorrow and do it all over again. Like these are the driven, the fire type motivated people, right? Mm-hmm. And our Western culture, especially here in the United States, is really oriented around this motivational style.
Sure.
Right? These people are very ambitious, right? You're a 5K runner, you're a NASCAR, right? You go fast and hard. But there are some pitfalls with this, right? The pitfalls are that when your ambition exceeds your stamina, you're prone to burnout, right? So if you go hard and you've got huge ambition and you haven't built up the stamina yet, like you're gonna crash and burn.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean that totally makes sense. You're putting the cart before the horse in that regard.
Well, yeah, you're running 1,000 miles an hour, but you got bald tires. Right? Whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Pick your metaphor, I guess. But this is the one that most people hear about. This is the one that most people try to orient themselves around, and it works for some people. It works really well for some people, and it just doesn't work at all for other people.
Like what you were saying, it's pretty ubiquitous in the States, so it might be the only way you've ever heard of it.
Right.
So it's like it's kind of not your fault if that's the way that you're trying to go into. But like, you mentioned there's 3 different styles. Maybe you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole in this instance. Right. Maybe it just doesn't quite jive.
Yeah. So if you are a fire type, you need a stable work day and a stable working session. Not too many breaks. Once you get going, it's really hard to relight the fire once it goes out. Right? Yeah. So experiment with some sessions between, like, say, 90 and 120 minutes, right? Like an hour and a half to 2 hours and then maybe go a little bit longer as you build up some stamina. But be willing to kind of like, if you have lots of ambition for a piece, like don't go too hard too fast. Maybe reserve some of that energy, right, so that you don't burn out.
Slow the burn a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. But don't let the fire go out. It can be really, really tough to get it started again, right?
Okay, all right. That's interesting.
Right.
I like it. There's a lot of metaphors, like what you said. Choose your metaphor on all of that. So I have a question for you, Dan. Then,
yeah.
How much does this like speak to you for your motivation style? Like, are you a fire type?
No, I don't think I am.
I've been noodling on this for a while, and I got elements of it, but
so
it's like doesn't quite fit.
All right, so introvert, extrovert, right?
Yeah,
it's a spectrum.
Hello, extrovert here,
right? Introvert down here.
Yeah,
it's a spectrum, and so I think as you kind of think through these, and we'll leave a link in the show notes for some additional reading materials. Go read and reflect and whatever. But I think that it's quite possible, and I don't know this stuff as deeply as many others, but as I went through all three of these, there are elements of each of them that kind of speak to me, but one of them speaks to me more.
Sure.
Right. So I think, and sometimes it might depend on the day or the month too, right? If I'm having kind of a low energy ebb, right, I might shift more toward one than the other.
That's actually really interesting that you mentioned that, right? We tend to put ourselves in boxes and put other people in boxes where
right.
there's more of an ebb and flow to it. And when the need arises, you can shift into that different style and stuff.
Right.
I really like that. That's an interesting way to think about it.
Sure. So the next one. So do you have any other questions about that one that I probably can't answer?
Well, hey, this is a conversation, right?
Right.
So
yeah.
I don't really have any strict questions on this. Well, maybe I do. So we talked about a pitfall. We talked about when your ambition kind of exceeds your stamina and stuff like that. Right. Do we have any possible solutions for people to make sure, that they don't do that, right? Because I definitely notice myself, I can get into those pitfalls for this fire-driven type, right?
Right.
And I have my own ways of dealing with, making sure I don't hit burnout. But some people might be going through burnout right now. It sucks.
Right. Burnout does suck. I've been there.
Yeah.
So I think part of it is just know thyself, right? And that can take some time too, right? But if you know yourself, as you start to learn more about yourself, as you start to think about maybe these three different types, and maybe which one kind of suits you better than others, right? If you're a fire type and you know that you have a lot of ambition for something, you really want to knock this one out of the park, kind of reflect a little bit more about how much experience you have. Do you have the stamina to pull off a piece that's going to take you a year?
Yeah.
Maybe you do, maybe you don't, right? And being realistic, being truthful with yourself, right? Now, you don't have to answer any questions from anyone else, right? It's all intrinsic questioning here. If you don't have the stamina to pull that off, maybe take on a smaller project to help build that stamina up.
Agreed. Right? That's a fantastic advice. You hit it on the head right there. A quick little metaphor on that is there's a difference between going to convention classes for 2 to 4 hours and a week-long master class, which is 16 hours. I've done 3 or 4 different classes. I can do 16 hours. It's like, can you?
Yeah, so like a couple of hours at a convention is great. A 4-hour class at a convention is even better sometimes. But when you do a 2-day weekend workshop, by the end of that second day, like people are peeling off, right? They're like,
oh yeah,
that's a lot more painting than most people are used to. And then you get ready to do like if you're going to do like 3-day, 4-day, a week long, like. Yes, that's a lot, right? And if you don't have the stamina to stick with it that long, like,
yeah,
you're not going to get as much out of that workshop or that.
Yep, absolutely. And I think you can kind of extrapolate that into quite a few different aspects within your life. If you just, I want to go and run a marathon. Well, you don't just sign up for a marathon tomorrow and run it. Like it's 26 miles.
Not if you're not trying to kill yourself.
Right. So, there are these process. And that sparked a bit of a thought about routine and about how routine is just uberly important.
Yeah.
And we had talked a little bit about Behind the Brush.
Yeah.
By Enric. So I got a copy, And while I was in Florida a couple weeks ago, I was reading through it, and I've been actively reading. And when I say actively reading, I'm like writing notes and stuff. I'm really diving into it. And so I wanted to read a certain section of it about routine that I kind of fell into. I found that is how my brain works. I need to put some sort of structure, some sort of routine, and then I'm off to the races. So he puts in here about why routine works. It says, psychology shows us that repeated behaviors create more efficient neural pathways. The more often you repeat an action, the more automatic it becomes. Yeah. This doesn't mean that you're losing intention, but reducing the initial friction, that moment of, quote, where do I start? Right? And I love that. Getting that building that routine to fit your motivational style can really help, like for fire type, if you will, of not letting that fire burn out. So like what you said, experiment with playing around with 90-minute, 120-minute, maybe even 30-minute sessions. Build that stamina. I think those are all great, little tips and tricks and pieces of advice, but let's move on to the next style.
Right. So the next one is wind, right? It's a very dynamic motivational style, right? These are the people who are kind of all over the place. They're highly dynamic. It's easy come, easy go. These are people who might struggle with finishing and follow through, but at the start of the thing, like they are fired up as ever, right? They're easily excited about something, but it fades a little more quickly, right? You're a sprinter, you're a drag racer, right? It's fast acceleration, high energy, short duration. All right?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm smiling because I'm like, oh my gosh, that could be me. That's very much me in many respects.
So the pitfalls for wind types, right? According to the research that I dug around in, is anxiety, right? You're worried about all the things that could go wrong. You start a diorama and all these, like, I'm not going to be able to get the basing right, or I'm not going to get the, there's 4 characters on here, and how do I get them all aligned right? And how do I get all the things to pull together, right? And there's lots of anxiety around, Now the benefit though is that while since you're high acceleration, short duration, when you feel that anxiety, right, and you set that project off to the side a little bit, your anxiety is also quick duration.
Sure.
It'll just kind of go away. So if you're working as a wind type, like take frequent breaks to recharge, short sessions, 30 to 60 minutes, right? Experiment with, longer, shorter sessions or whatever, depending, because everyone's a little different. But shorter sessions, frequent breaks, and have like 3 to 5 projects going at once, right? Now, this is why I know I'm not a wind type.
Yeah.
Because having more than one, like if I have 2 projects going at once, I'm just like, I got to get one of them done.
Yeah.
Right?
And I opened this whole episode with the fact that I've got like 3 different things going at the same time.
Now, that's not to say that I'm not thinking about other projects, right? But I'm generally only working on one at a time, and I do it, right? So, but 3 to 5 projects at once, and when you get kind of bored with one, or you get kind of start to lose interest with one, you can go back to one of the other ones and work on that one for a while. Because here's the thing, it's like your motivation is fast acceleration. So as you get bored with one, you can set that aside and you can ramp up very quickly on one of those other ones. Now, the pitfall, one of the pitfalls there is like containing your number of projects, right?
Yeah.
To a reasonable number. Well,
so it doesn't become 35 projects.
You don't want 35 projects. That just gets overwhelming, right? So 3 to 5 is a good place to start. If you need a 6th one or, whatever it is. But again, know thyself. As you do this more, you will learn more about yourself and you will know kind of where your sweet spot is, right? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 5? Is it 10? Probably it might not be 10. It might be, but probably not.
Sure.
Right?
yeah. If I were a betting man.
Right. But that's the thing. It's like have more than one project that you can get fired up about at any given time. Right. As one starts to wane, as your enthusiasm or motivation for one starts to kind of tail off, you've got others to pick up and keep going, keep moving on. Right.
For sure.
So that's, go ahead.
So that really resonates with me a lot, right? So there's a lot about, after, because you linked me a video that we'll link in the description as well as the, it's kind of the whole deep dive into all of this is I watched it a couple times, and every time I was like, not one of them fits me perfectly. And that's okay. Sure. And I'm like, cool, that sounds right. That sounds amazing. But I definitely think I fit this like wind archetype the most. Like if I had to do like proportionality, this might be my dominant trait, right?
Sure.
One of the things that I have noticed is that having 3 to 5 projects going on at once in different styles, in different sections of completeness, or different
stages.
Stages. That's actually the better. Helps me a lot. So I've got a small bust, I've got a single figure, and I've got a diorama. They all tickle my brain a little differently, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Whereas the small bust, it's like 3 colors is my color palette, and I can really just dive into making that color really like contrast with this one, getting the texture just right here. The single figure, kind of a similar thing. I have to pull back a little bit because it's set in a scene. It's a small scene. It's very small.
Yeah.
Right? I have to consider more. Right? So it changes my brain a little bit. Right? When I'm working on a diorama, it's not even the painting aspect of it. It's the construction. It's the composition. It's all of these new things that I'm not familiar with, or maybe I've only tried once, or I've never tried at all. Right? So that to me is I worry less about the number and more about the intention of what I am doing in that process. Right. And like our podcast says, being curious about something. So I've got this super hyper secret project that I'm working on that I was like, I have a very, very specific thing that I want to achieve. But one of the things that I have a tendency to do is just off to the races, and there I go. Yeah. So I sat with it for about a month or so, and I realized like, okay, let me just do some silly little sketches. Well, I don't like that. Well, that's too difficult. Well, that's way too insane. All of these different things, and I kept coming back to, I do like this idea, and I don't do that very often. Yeah. Right. And that's been some feedback that I've gotten from mentors. Let's try it. Let's wrangle it down. Let's wrangle it in. And then I don't really do like physical sketches for dioramas. So this morning, I just put on a podcast, and I had pieces of cardboard that I was slicing up and just propping up together.
Nice.
I'm writing. I'm here's what this is. Here's what this is. Right. What does this look like and stuff? And so it's a different process. And I started getting like real jazzed and really excited about it. And I thought, oh, well, I'll start it, see if I like it, and then I'll go back to painting my little bust, whatever. Didn't even think about the bust, right? Just kept moving and moving and moving and moving, which is kind of what I'm thinking. Like, I might go from that wind in the beginning, and I have like a shift into that a little bit more fire side, right? Yeah, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna grab onto that, and I'm just gonna keep driving and keep going. So I find it really interesting. I love this kind of stuff.
Sure.
Know thyself.
And then, so here's a final thing that I'll mention about the wind type. If you have ADHD, you might be a wind type. Right?
Totally.
People who are wind types have a higher likelihood of also being diagnosed with ADHD, right? And we'll probably end up doing at least one or probably a couple of episodes at some point on ADHD and how, but if for anyone listening today, if you are diagnosed with ADHD, this one might speak to you. right?
For sure, very much so, right? And
go ahead.
It's just knowing yourself. I'm gonna keep circling back and forth to it. Just know yourself.
Well, and the other thing about that is if you are ADHD and you are a wind type, right? And everything you've read about or everything you've watched about motivation doesn't seem to work for you. Well, most of it's written for the fire types. It's not written for you. They're not dealing with your motivational type, right?
Sure.
And so just be kind to yourself, right? Like you weren't necessarily like they were providing a diagnosis for a type that you are not, right? They're providing solutions for a diagnosis that missed the target.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's that proportionality of that, like you're not necessarily just one of these things.
Right.
Right. After looking at all of this, I think I am probably majority of the wind type and this fire type with just a sprinkling of our third and final type. Right. And that might be just like, some of the audience members, it might be completely reverse. Right.
Sure.
Like you, for example, you're like completely reverse to that.
Yeah, no, I'm not a wind type. I think I'm probably the earth type. So let's jump into that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the earth type or the resilient type, right? It's the long burn, the slow, steady tortoise that wins the race, right? Earth types or resilient types are often overlooked. Other people are also, are very flashy. They get the spotlight, and meanwhile, you're sitting there quietly and like, nobody notices me, but I'm getting shit done.
Yeah, yeah.
Where wind types are high acceleration, slow duration, right? Earth types are slow acceleration, high top speed, right?
Sure.
It's the marathon runner. It's the Le Mans 24-hour endurance race. It's the long haul people. The people who are just, it's like bedrock, right? So for earth types, and this is where this one starts to really resonate with me, is you tend to learn more slowly, but once you learn it, you have it unlock, and you forget slowly, right? Wind types can learn very quickly, but they also tend to forget very quickly. Whereas earth types are kind of we learn very slowly, but once we got it, it's in there. It becomes part of the DNA, right? It becomes part of who we are almost, right? So I often find myself having to learn something 5, 6, 7 times before it finally sinks in. But when it does sink in, I've got it. Right.
It's locked in. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have often in my life felt like I was slow, right? Like, am I just stupid that I don't get this? No, it's not that. It's that.
Really?
Yeah. Like other people seem to learn a lot faster than I do. I'm like, why don't I get this yet? Right. And I tend to learn slowly, but once I've got it, I've got it.
That's really interesting. So I want to speak on that for just a second.
Yeah.
Right. So growing up, I always got maybe this is because I might have ADHD. I don't know. I've never been diagnosed, but I always got the mark on my report cards in grade school and stuff was that he's very bright, but man, is he a distraction? Because I would be like, got it. All right, move on. Not realizing that other people, learn at a different pace, at a different rate. They maybe they need to go over a few more examples for it to really like lock in their brain.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting that you mentioned that, and it almost makes me feel a little bad that like when I was young that I just like you're just slow and stupid. It's like, well, no, it's just they have a different way of processing it and learning it and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, so the pitfalls for earth types are we are prone to giving up just when we shouldn't. We get almost there, like we are people who trip over the finish line. Right.
That's a great way to put it.
like just when you're ready to take flight, you're like, you give it up. You're like, I'm never gonna get this. Fuck it, I'm out. Right? And if we had just stuck with it, just another couple hours, right, or just another, just a little bit longer. So the key thing for Earth types is don't give up. Just don't give up. It can take us longer. It can take you longer. Just be patient with yourself. Keep working at it, one step in front of the other, right? Give yourself the time you need to finally get it, right? Because once you get it, again, you are slow acceleration, high top speed. So once you get to top speed, once you finally get there, you're a force to be reckoned with, right?
I love that. That's fantastic.
I still feel like I'm still coming up to speed sometimes, but
have you ever like gave up when you shouldn't, and then looking back you kind of go, ah, damn it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
See, I kind of have the reverse of that, right? Of the I probably should have given up long before I ever actually did.
So part of my North Star, right? So and I don't remember if we touched on this last episode or not, but part of my why do I paint, right? Is I think we did talk about this a little bit. Is I have been good at a lot of things. I've never been exceptional at any of them. And I would like to be exceptional at something before I die. Right? So,
wow.
I've been good at a lot of things. And then I quit and went to something else. Right? I got good at something.
Oh, that hits me right in the heart.
Right?
I feel very similar.
I got good at something and then I quit. I got good at something and usually where I quit was where I started getting really hard. I didn't push through the dip.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
as I look back on my life, that's where I've been. Right? I get good at something. I can get good at something fairly quickly, and then it gets hard, and then it gets really hard, and I'm like, fuck it. I'm just not going to get it. And then I move on to something else, and I get good at that.
Wow, that speaks to me really, like, a lot. So I'm sure you've heard this. I'm sure you even echoed this to your students of, 80% of the time that you're going to be working on your projects is the last 20% of your project.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Right?
It's the 80-20 rule, yeah.
Yeah, that 80-20 rule, that's always been something that I struggle with.
Yeah.
Right? Is that, like, if I really want to be exceptional at this thing, right, whatever that might be, is that, well, I just spent all of this time, it should be fine. It should be, no, you need to cross that finish line, get over that hump, right? Yeah. And I struggle with that all the time because I look at it and I go, I don't know how much better it can get, or I don't know what else there is to do, or this is just plain hard.
Yeah.
Right?
It gets
especially
hard.
when you first start learning something, you have that, like, nice big boom, level up, boom, level up, boom, level up. But then all of a sudden your levels up are real small.
It takes a lot of squeeze to get a little bit of level up. Right?
Exactly, right? So I spoke about this with my with one of my friends at Hobby Night, is that, like, we're starting to get to this level where taking a 4-hour class ain't gonna do it. Taking a weekend class is, like, we'll do it better, but not. We got to start getting into that tailored private instruction where we're spending hours upon hours, like what you said, to get that last little bit of level up.
I mean, I still occasionally will take, like, the 2-hour class or whatever at a convention.
Sure.
But it feels that 2-hour class. I'm at a point in my journey where that 2-hour class feels like watching a reel. Right?
That's very
now in the
very
sense,
apt.
In the sense of, right? I'll pick up maybe one or two little things, right? But it's not
earth-shattering.
It's not the mind-blowing class that I took in my second or third year, right? Of
Right,
painting,
right.
right. So I'm getting ready to take a 3-day master class at LVO. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm also a little afraid of it. Right?
For sure. For sure.
So, but
It's going to test your stamina.
It's going to test my stamina for sure.
And I'm going to be doing a 3-day private instruction, or semi-private. I've never done it before, and I'm excited about it because it's hey, we're on a new adventure here, right? But like this is what it's going to take, and I'm not under any illusions that all 3 days of that is going to be wonderful, glorious. It's going to get hard, and it's going to hurt.
Here's the real kicker here, and I did this myself. So at the end of the first 2 days of that, right, I'm going to be in this master class all day long, right, and then from 7 to 11 o'clock, those first two nights, I'm teaching.
Oh,
so it's going to be a couple of really long days, but I know. I'm not gonna lie. I have kind of thought to myself like, Dan, what the hell are you doing to yourself? I'm like, you know what? I want this, this, and I owe it to students to be able to give them the best that I can. However wiped out I am, drink a Red Bull and go, man. Like, we got shit to do.
Absolutely, and those are two different things where you're having to be receptive to soak all in all that, and then now all of a sudden now you have to be like, I don't know what the word would be, but you have to transmit that now and switch gears. That's a hard shift.
I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm gonna. It is what it is, right? Like,
you'll get it done, though. You'll get it done.
We'll get it done.
Yeah, you'll get it done. That's awesome. Ooh.
Yeah. So, LVO, look for me. I'm teaching.
Yeah, absolutely. I by the way, just for our audience here, like, I took a color theory class from Dan, not last year, the year before that, and I've taken, I don't know, a half a dozen other ones, and I think part of it was that, I'm at a different stage in my painting career, and that like I was much more receptive to it. But like, you had a way of breaking down such a dense topic with color theory in a way that I'd never heard before. And it was super interesting. I mean, I still have your color disc up on my wall, right? And like,
it's not mine, but it's the one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from your class.
Yeah.
And so like, I highly recommend take Dan as an instructor. He's a great instructor. No matter how tired or grumpy bulldog he might be.
Well, thank you, Devin. I appreciate the kind words.
Yeah, I mean, it well worth it. So, okay, back to the earth type.
Yep.
All right. So you said, prone to giving up when you shouldn't. Are there any other things like of working through that or working, with that?
Earth types can be very self-critical, like extremely self-critical. Also, potentially prone to depression. Right?
Interesting.
When it feels like you're just never going to get there, and you just kind of get trained and sapped and depressed, and so I'm very fortunate that I do not have a tendency toward depression, but
good,
that does happen with other earth types.
Sure.
So,
why do you think that is? That genuine wanting to learn a little bit about that, of like, why do you think that you doing this thing that maybe that you genuinely want to do, you have this ambition to do, that it might take a bit of a dark turn?
If you don't feel like you're making progress, and you feel like everyone else around you is making a lot of progress, and it doesn't feel like you can keep up, and why am I doing this? Why am I right? That can be depressing. That can get you down, right?
For sure.
So,
I have a dash of that too.
I'm just too stupid to give up, man. I'm not going to give up on this. Be
stupid in the right ways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I used to pride myself on being like, oh, I'm so smart. I'm not smart. And so once I'm like, I'm just too dumb to give up. I want this badly enough. I'm just not going to give up. So.
Oh, hey, that's fantastic. I love that. That's so good. Yeah. I totally get that. If you're not making progress, because this part right here might be my dash.
The thing is, we are making progress. We just don't see it. We can't feel it.
Well, and that's that extrinsic, motivation of like comparison. Mm-hmm. Oh well, my post didn't get as many likes, or oh so and so, and because you have no idea what their life has been like and what their time has been. His piece looks so much better than mine, and right. I'm working on the same piece, and like how can I compete with that and stuff. I that's my little dash of earth right there, is that cycle of like I'm not seeing progress, right?
You've entered the same competition 3 years in a row and you've gotten silver in all 3 years.
Right.
Damn it, like what the fuck's wrong with me?
Right. And it's this big reason why I like these open competitions that are a little bit more exhibition kind of styles is because you're, at least me, you're competing with yourself, right?
Right.
And because, okay, if you go from year to year to year getting a silver, but like go back 3 years to your first silver or whatever, objectively, is your current work better?
Right. Well, so here's a hidden little secret, right? Is that, well, yes, and you hit on it exactly. Well, yes, you've gotten silver the last 3 years. The field has also progressed over those last 3 years.
Right.
So it's not, you're just not outpacing the field as quickly as you would like, right? But
sure,
the whole train has moved forward. Like, so the fact that you kept getting silver means that you have progressed across those 3 years, right?
Yep, with everything.
With the rest of the field. And I'll tell you what, like with all of the classes and with all of the YouTube and with all of the, like, we really are, like, we have so much information, and there are enough people out there who are pushing hard. Like, it's moving the whole field forward. So the bar is constantly moving.
Oh, for sure.
And so the fact that you can maintain a pace even with that bar is a pretty remarkable accomplishment in itself.
Yeah. Yeah, and this comes back to that intrinsic motivation, right? It comes back to, well, why am I doing this? And a big why for me is celebrating the accomplishments of my friends, of my students, right? I am so thrilled when my student got that gold.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I'm so thrilled when my buddy who was running into this whole, like, oh, dude, it's not good. I don't like this. Like, and then he gets that silver, and he was like, I wasn't expecting anything. Oh my gosh! Like, it's so incredible.
Yeah.
For two different reasons. And first, because I want to share in your joy and share with your celebration.
Oh, sure. Right.
But two, it's also kind of, there's a selfish component in that, like, oh, he does have those same thoughts that I'm having. Right? They are in that same mode of like, oh, I'm not good enough, and like, it's humanizing a little bit, especially if it's somebody that you look up to.
And it reminds us all that we are not alone, right? Like, we're all in this together, right? We all share some of the same feelings. We all go through the same shit, right?
oh yeah. Just with a little bit of different, twist or flavor to it, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
All right, just a little different. That's all, right? Oh man, this has been really interesting. So we kind of have 3 styles of motivation that are not the end all be all, right?
Right.
They're just.
It is.
I think they're just
a way to think about it.
it's a way to think about it, and I think it's a way to like start that discussion with yourself or even your peers, right? So we've got wind, right, which is very, high acceleration, high stopping,
right, a slow duration.
And a slow duration with these short bursts of motivation. And, like, how do you pivot around that? Well, maybe you have multiple projects, right? I think I'm very wind in that regard, right? We've got the fire type, tends to be like what you had said earlier about that Western kind of style that is very much of that, like, hustle and grind and get it in and
driven,
go.
Yeah.
But it very driven, but can be prone to burnout, right? So instead of having, these really long marathon sessions, let's shorten them down and let's make sure that we keep that fire stoked, right?
Right. Yep.
Because we don't want to dive into that burnout. Then we've got the resilient, the earth, right? Where maybe it takes them a little bit longer to go or to get it or to learn that thing. But once they got it, they lock in and they just keep marching forward. But, those who kind of are called to that is don't quit until you get to that last corner, because that last corner could very well be that finish line, right? It's just keep persevering.
Slow acceleration, high top speed. Yep.
Absolutely.
And
right.
Just don't give up. Don't give up.
And these are all very different ways of thinking about your motivation. And one of the things that I want to reiterate that we talked about at the beginning, like, motivation can be so fleeting.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there are going to be times when you're hyper motivated to do something, but you just you can't for various reasons. Life gets in the way. Maybe you're just overwhelmed with, something at work, or maybe you're having health issues, right? Like,
right. Oh, yeah.
There's so many different things, but that motivation is, I think, something that everybody should learn about, what works for them, what doesn't work for them, so that they can learn how to harness that, productive energy in the right way for when, not if, but for when those, like, speed bumps happen. Those, hey, I only got 15 minutes in this week. All right, that happens.
Right.
There's no shame. And you'd mentioned something that's just give yourself a little bit of grace. Be kind to yourself on that, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's a huge component.
Be patient with yourself.
Be patient with yourself. Absolutely. Because the motivation is there, but maybe you're just lacking on a couple other bits of fuel,
Yeah. All right. I think we've covered all the topics here. Is there anything else?
I think we did it. I think we did the damn thing.
We've done it twice now.
I know. This is such a deep topic too, and maybe at a future episode we might, like, revisit some of these really deep, deep topics, because motivation, man. That we could really dive.
We could spend a 5-day all days workshop, right, on just motivation, and have everybody sleeping by the end of day 2.
Oh my gosh, yeah, be overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
So I want to just ask the audience, like, what motivation style are you, right? Like, that. Think about it. Ask yourself the question. Rewind. Go to the little highlights. We'll also have all of the resources available that you can dive even deeper, like us.
Yeah.
And we add that into the comments below, because you never know who you're working with that might also have similar things that they're going, and share with the community to be able to, like, work together. And I think we'd be very curious to see where our audience kind of skews, and maybe there is no skew. Maybe it's just like,
is there one of these that resonates more with you than another one, right? And drop that in the comments. There's clickety bits around, right? You know how to use them.
You know what to do.
You know what to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, on that note, thanks everyone. Thanks so much. Use the clickety bits like we said, and drop a note in the comments and see and let us know what you're thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget to paint something that you love, and stay curious.